Hey guys, welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day, great week. It is a gorgeous Friday. Had a great session. Can't really complain. Even though yesterday I did not have a perfect workout, but it was a push session, and I learned that, especially when it comes to chest, you have to be a little bit more patient with progression. But it's still something I get a little frustrated sometimes over. But at the end of the day, you're not always going to make it. You're not always going to beat your numbers every week, because then everyone will be able to deadlift 600, 700 pounds, and that's obviously not the case. So progress is not linear, and that's life, right? And so today I wanted to talk about the bearing of responsibilities. Like I've been reading a lot of Aurelius. Obviously, I've been talking about him quite a bit since I started, and I've advanced a little bit further. But one of the biggest themes that he constantly talks about is showing dignity and showing and being proud and being happy of the work that you have to perform, of the work that has been placed upon you by the universe, and your integral role in how this universe continues to move the way it's supposed to move when you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? So it's all about this changing your perspective on not thinking of what needs to be done as a chore, but as a privilege that you have this responsibility. So, and that's a theme that I first really started reading with Nietzsche, but that was years ago. And Nietzsche is a fucking bomb. I'm not gonna read that man for a while. I'm gonna go back to him once I graduate to that level. Once I can read Stoicism quite well, once I can read other philosophies, like I want to read Fyodor Dostoevsky as well. And the reason I want to read him is because he has varying opinions as to the outcome of this particular topic. Well, not that, but like as in, what do we do now that there's no God? And he talks about being a religious man and putting yourself under a dominance hierarchy with God at the top. But that's a conversation for another time. So the barren responsibility is a huge responsibility in and of itself. The reason many people, become very religious, and they go to church, or they start believing in their political parties and stuff like that, is a way of unloading and passing on the responsibility to another individual. Because to bear responsibility, to bear ultimate responsibility for yourself and for your actions and the way that your life progresses, is the tallest task you can ask for an individual. You're basically God. You are being your own God, because like a lot of people really do go to go to religions and stuff because they don't want that responsibility. When something goes wrong, they're like, oh, it's just God has a better thing planned for me, or this is just a test. Like, you've heard this before. Everybody's heard this before. The excuses when things don't go right. And it's a very simple phrase, but it's an enormously complicated concept, right? So when I first came upon this is with Nietzsche and the Will to Power, and this was years ago when I was really fucked up. Like, I was messed up in the head, and I was nihilistic, and I just came across reading Nietzsche, and I started reading him, and I started understanding. And I'm like, oh shit, it really is up to me whether I make it or break it. It really is up to me whether I progress, right? I accepted that reality, but I was nowhere near ready to do that. And I feel like I escaped that. I feel like I didn't want to, like there was sort of friction and resistance to accepting that role, because it is a big role, that for you to tell yourself in the mirror that it's not God's plan, it's not destiny, it's not a test from some deity or another. It's your fault that you're in this shitty situation, and it's your fault that you are not where you want to be. But then you flip the side, and then you flip to the coin on the other side, and it's like, when you are successful, there's no one to thank but you. When you make it to the top, when you're no longer anxiety ridden, full of perturbation because you have no idea where to go. You're not financially stable, or whatever else it is that is deemed important to you. It's a huge tall order, and not many people could do it. And Nietzsche proposed quite radical proposal. You know what I'm saying? Like to take on the role of the god, of a god, to take on the role of the creator of your own universe. And as I've gotten older and time has passed by, and I've gotten a lot better and I've progressed, and like I was saying at the beginning of this video, progress is not linear. You're not going to continually make progress. You're going to fall flat on your face over and over and over again. But, you just got to learn to keep going, shrug it off, and keep going. And that's something I'm learning more and more as time goes on. Because, you progress, you're saving your money, whatever the case may be. But then an exigent circumstance arises, and then all that shit gets thrown out the fucking window. And you feel like you started right back to where you feel like you're going right back to where you started. And that little demon inside your head starts making these really dangerously seductive proposals to you, temptations. Like what's the point of you even trying? Look at where you're at. No matter how hard you try, you're always going to stay at the bottom. It doesn't matter. Just give up. It's not, it's just life. You're not destined for greatness, clearly, because every single time you try to do something, it seems like something is always standing in your way. It seems like something like you're taking one step forward, 4 steps back. And that was constantly dogging me every single fucking day. And I was nowhere nearly strong like I did not possess the necessary strength of will to overcome these obstacles, to overcome these self-doubts, to overcome these trepidations. And I've just realized that to be a man is to bear responsibility. To be a human is to bear responsibility. And it's constantly one of these constant themes across all these philosophies is the bearing of responsibility, the bearing of load. And not to disperse it to other individuals, not to disperse it to other groups, not to disperse it to other deities when shit goes wrong. No, it's up to you. And it's a tall order. It's very simple. It's very simple to say, I will take on responsibility for my own actions. But that's a whole different ballgame to start executing with that mindset in place, with your rearranging your life with that mindset in place, being cognizant and being cognizant of every decision you make and every thought that crosses your head. Because as Aurelia says, you don't want to just expunge the actions. You want to expunge the thoughts and that turn into actions. If you get rid of all these nasty thoughts in your head, you will not be engaging in these actions. So as a person that comes from self-destructive behavior, I really do have to work every day to constantly keep watch on what's going on in here. What am I thinking about? Is what I'm thinking about necessary for my survival, or is it going to cause continued detriment? Am I going to keep shooting myself in the foot if I perform this action? And that's a question that you have to constantly present to yourself, and until it becomes a habit, like anything else. Like you're trying to break old habits to take on new ones. I'm obviously speaking for myself, but I'm sure there's other people that are in similar situations as I. You're trying to break different habits to take on new ones. And these new ones are going to give you more responsibility. And a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people can't handle that. You look at the way the world is. People don't want responsibility. People don't want to bear responsibility. You have this whole ridiculous notion going on about the patriarchy and we're always oppressed. And the reason I'm not getting up in life is because the system is so fucked and I'm... There's just a variety of excuses. This world is extremely soft. But I do want more responsibility. But I have to earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to gradually accept these things. And you have to gradually take them and being able to execute them. Not to be overwhelmed or anything. But yeah, man. I do want to bear more responsibility. And I don't want to have this victim mentality anymore. I'm the sort of person that people would have always dogged me for saying what I'm about to say, but I'm not gonna be like, when I'm successful, I am never gonna be the fucking jackass that says, first of all, I would like to thank God. If by God you mean me, then sure, I would like to thank myself for the hard work. As that famous video Snoop Dogg goes I've watched on Instagram. You know, first I'd like to thank me for being me and for putting in the hard work every fucking day. I would like to thank me for doing such and such and such. And I feel like that's the best way to live. Like, obviously, we can have a different conversation another time when it comes to the place of the morals and values in order to sustain your life, in order to give you backbone, and not cause you to be nihilistic on your way to chasing goal. Because obviously, we humans are very complicated. And we can't just bear on responsibility. We can't bear on the responsibility of a deity or an ideal without certain structures and certain rules and certain limitations in place, which is what morals and values are. And like I said, that's a different conversation for another time. But I feel like bearing more responsibility is freedom. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it really is. Like I said, like, it's all about an allocation of time and resources that's going to take you to the top. You know, like billionaires and highly successful people, whoever it is you look up to, have the same hours in the day than you and I. But they're greater than us at this point in time. And that's because they are doing what needs to be done. They are being responsible. They're taking on more responsibility. Like, I'd be watching Joe Rogan, for example, and he talks about all the shit he does in the day. I'm like, how the fuck do you do this? Where do you find the time? But it's because of some diligence and discipline, and all these things coming together to form a real man, a real human. A human that is not going to make excuses that the reason things aren't going right is because God has this plan for me for greater things. Like, no, you're probably fucking up. What are you fucking up with? Like, how can you fix this? Like, what can you fix in your own personal self? One thing that's helped me a lot, especially with meditations, is to stop giving a fuck about your surroundings. Stop letting your surroundings cause you to get emotional, to get angry or depressed or things like that. Like, the external has no power over the internal. It is up to you to interpret these situations and circumstances as they come about. It is up to you whether you want to be positive, whether you want to be indifferent. And that's really helped me out a lot, because we have so many distractions to not bear on more responsibility. We have so many distractions, especially in this hedonistic culture where, as I said before, to be cool is to get drunk as fuck. To be cool is to chase girls. To be cool is to go to the club and blow money to ingest poison. It's such a ridiculous concept. Like, now that I look back on it, you're blowing money to poison yourself. You know how, like, whatever. So yeah, there really is a lot of excuses out there that you can take for yourself, and obviously I don't suggest you do. And it's hard work, and it takes time, and you're gonna fuck up. And just like in the gym, you're not always gonna make progress. There's gonna be days, there's gonna be times where you're not motivated, where you don't feel like you have it, you feel weaker, or whatever. You don't feel optimal. But you have to do the work anyways. You still have to show up and do it. You still have to show up and perform. You still have to show up and go all out. And that's something that that I've transitioned into life. And I've just realized, like, I'm like, if I could do this in the gym, I could do this in life, right? Because the gym to me was a big teacher, and I've learned a lot of things from the gym, and I've learned a lot of principles and you know, just stuff that I've been able to translate into life. But it does take work, and I don't want to accept, and I don't want to subscribe to people that promise me all these great things for this amount of time. And you see that all the time. You see people promise you to become a millionaire in these amount of days. It's like, dude, like, whatever happened to being proud of putting in hard work, right? Like Aurelia says, be proud of the hard work. Be proud and show an ability to work hard for an extended period of time. That's a great trait to have. Not finding the shortcuts. No, like work with your hands and figure it out and do it for yourself and always be proud. Never be negative. Never be pissed off and cranky because you woke up in the morning, you have all that shit to do. Be happy that you woke up and be even happier that you have shit to do. Right? So bear on more responsibility. It's gonna make you happier. It's like how David Goggins says, discipline equals freedom. Or is it Jocko? Doesn't matter, those two are alphas. Both, yeah, they said it, and Joe Rogan too. You know, discipline equals freedom. Last thing you want to be is nihilistic, right? I've already been down that road. I'm not going down that road again. I know what's waiting for me, and I've already fucked up enough, and I've already fucked up so much, and I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen if I go down that road. The only other road is to be a man. The only other road is to be responsible and be dignified, be a man, and have your chest out and always stand erect and always ready to tackle on all problems, because that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm gonna keep doing it, and I want to lead by example, and I want to continue to do what I need to do in order to progress in my life, and hopefully you get inspiration as well, and we can all join in together. And take the world, take what's ours. Be gods and be the masters of our own universe. Be the creator of our own canvas that is life. And it's a beautifully responsible thing to do. So I'll leave you guys at that before I die of a heat stroke in this car. Hope you have a great day. Hope you all make some fucking gains. Don't forget your vitamins. Don't forget your food. Don't forget your water. And until next time, guys, peace.